All right, now we have next Stephanie. And Stephanie is our wizard astrologer. She kind of looks like that wizard. So we're looking forward to what she has to say. She speaks 4 languages. She's multifaceted, to say the least. She is a Gemini with Scorpio rising, though. So remember that. She's got a really cool chart. All right, let's give her a big hand.
So hello there. No. Oh, I thought
You need to share your screen.
Yeah, I know. And
Yes.
bear with me, people. Here we go. So here we go. I'm running through this also, and probably I have to skip a couple of pages, but I will, as I said, I'm going to share the slides so you have it all in the document. So let me put it on slideshow mode. Okay, so I call it Winds of Change. Oops, what's here?
That's fine. You can see it on the screen.
Okay, good. Okay, so the highlights, Saturn, of course, that Steve went over, then Pluto, so Saturn into Pisces in March, Pluto into Aquarius in March, Jupiter changing into Taurus in May, nodes changing to Aries, Libra in July, and then the eclipses, I don't go into that, it's too much overload for you guys. You have it in the document. Venus and Mars ruled. And so what do you want to say?
You're showing your screen, but you're showing the other part. Make sure their audience sees this is what they're seeing, this whole thing. So press the little button here. And then go ahead and start from the beginning so you can see. I want to make sure our home audience sees this also.
How about I end slideshow and start over?
Yeah. Try it again. You're gonna have to do non-slideshow notes.
Okay, let's start over.
Are they not hearing?
It's okay. So with this, we can live. Okay, so Mercury 4 times retrograde in Earth. Thank God for some stable and solid and reasonable thoughts that we can mull over again. And then all planets direct from the 22nd of January until 21st of April. So I'm not going into the retrogrades and all this, just a bird's eye view of the things that I think that we may be facing with Saturn in Pisces. And as I said, I'm just flying through and you have it all in the documents. This is, Steve put already a good light on what happened in the past. So you see a lot of things happening in terms of dams. I saw a lot of people out of their minds, like crazy people, like the Waco, Texas sect. Let's start with the 1935 to 37. Hoover Dam is a big one because it has to do with water and Saturn constructing. Then the what is it? Social Security formed. So it's taking care of people. This is the Pisces effect, taking care of people that are not that are needy. Then we have, I saw a couple of dictatorships, and of course, Pisces can be associated with betrayals. And then we have, let's see, we have the first audio tapes, of course. Pisces is about recording and tapes. Then we had a flying boat, like a high-speed boat. What is it called? The hovercraft or so, from the UK to the US even. And then Golden Gate Bridge opened. Then we had peace protests. I saw a couple of those. Then this controversial JFK murder, and probably you have heard it's coming up again because they say that now the FBI is behind JFK the murder, because, huh?
Yes.
Yeah, exactly. And then, okay, so we have segregation. So everything about the people in need and people that are just put in corners and that need extra hands. Also, again, Aswan High Dam is again dealing with water and construction, then a lot of bridges. Then we have Mandela imprisoned. Funny thing, so that was 1964 to 67. That is like two Saturn and Pisces periods ago. And the one after is when Mandela became president. I don't have it here in the list, but I found this funny, just that I'm thinking of it. So we have the tunnel between the UK and France. That's another thing of construction and water. Then the VCR recorder, the first one, Medicare created. So it's again Pisces helping the people in need. The Cuba airlift, maybe you remember that. That was when there were like a couple of flights per week that they got the people out of Cuba when Fidel Castro was like really cranking down on the people. So he gave some of the people a chance to get out. And that was a lot. I don't remember the number, but I think it's like 300,000 immigrants or so that took foot in Miami. Then let's hop to the next one. That's the Waco that Steve mentioned already. Then there were a couple of bombings. There were a lot of ferry disasters. So I think that we may see something like that, like accidents on the water, maritime accidents. Then we have a lot of peace talks. We have disarmament of the, let's see, we have Russia disarmament, and I don't here, so Rabin Arafat peace deal. There was contamination, which is also I associate with Pisces and Neptune. And that's what I was looking for. The IRA, the Irish rebel group, so they did the disarmament peace talks and all this. Then we had again Rwanda in Bosnia and Herzegovina, a lot of civil wars and all this. Serial murders, I saw that a lot. As I mentioned, some people that are out of their mind, like this fan of Steffi Graf who murdered, stabbed to death, Monica Seles, another tennis player, and bioweapons. Bioweapons, of course, poison, that stands for Pisces, or Pisces stands for poison, and Neptune the same. So let's see. So this is what we may face then. Saturn is making concrete, making visible, manifesting, and construction mastery. So that's when I see that we have to get a grip on our emotions, and otherwise we will lose it. So we had seen a couple of examples where people lose it and do things that they otherwise would not do if they would be like in their head. So fantasy, arts, muses, but then the other side of Pisces is madness, delusion, lies, as we've seen, mental illness, confusion, martyrdom, escapism, deceit. So as I said, concrete plans, Saturn is concrete plans. When I looked at the pictures in the collage 2 slides earlier, it broke my heart when I looked at all the animals in the ocean. I love the ocean. I love eating fish and all this. And I think it's really the time now that we have to crank down on polluting the waters, like running all the poisonous waters from factories into the oceans and all this. So animals and ocean quality, and plus the drink water quality is an issue. Whether it's purposeful contaminating water, drinking water, or it's just by not taking care of it. So I think it's necessary that we find regulations to do that, to take care of water. Then, so I think that Saturn in Pisces is helping humanity to get out of the mind and the rational mind and trust more in something that is higher than we are, that is bigger than we are, because we have too much paying attention to what the news say and following what's happening out on the stage, but it's really important now. Okay, so this is happening outside. What can I do? So it's really, what energy are we putting in the field? Do we put fear out, or are we in our, like, are we so sure-footed, and are we out of fear? And that's so important. That, I think, is the most important thing. Plus the immune system, I think, is a big thing, as also we're approaching a conjunction of Saturn and Neptune. It's only in 2026, but it's building up, and we know that it's not only you switch or flip a switch and then, oh, all of a sudden there's the aspect. No, it's building up. So flushing the toxins out of the system, and we know exactly how much crap we are being fed by what is the gene manipulated food and all this. So we have to take care of that. Nobody else will. And we've seen what healthcare is doing for us. So we're cash cows, and we have to take our own action now. So I see drug and medication regulations. They have been trying to crank down in Germany and Europe and possibly in the US also on homeopathic doctors. And of course, we all remember that the medication ivermectin was suppressed as remedy for the COVID. And so it's really about, I mean, Saturn is karma, and we may see a lot of repercussions of things that happened too fast in order to make money of it. And so, and also the open borders. We were just, before we all came on, we were talking with my seating neighbor about borders and borders being moved. I know, for example, in Germany, Europe, we are talking a lot about moving borders back and forth. And you know all that, maybe you know that borders between France and Germany were different. And also, if I look at the open borders in this country now, so they have to be taken care of at one point. So they come into the country. So there is a lot of pressure on the welfare system, healthcare system. So we will see, I don't know, some things that have to be done in that aspect. So all the people that are in need. Then how to surf this wave is, set healthy boundaries. And as I said, take care of yourself, to your immune system, lymph drainage, and express it in a Piscean way. Express everything through comedy and dance and all that, instead of running off into drugs because you are just fed up with what is happening on the world stage. Let me rush on. So next is Pluto in Aquarius. And as I said, Steve already looked a lot at that, and he put out also things that happened in the past. So I don't really want to go into all these details. We had the Crusades, not too deep, but I just touched. So we had the Crusades and the Dark Ages. And then there was a lot of, attempts by the ruling ones to get under the thumb the regular people, and the corruption in the church. And it is coming up again with pedophilia in church, and a lot of indictments, especially in Europe. I don't hear a lot about this in this country. Then, okay, battles, invasions in general, and a couple of inventions. Then we have in the 1500s, we have, of course, the conquests in the Americas, Copernicus theory of the round Earth. So Aquarius is about like new things, checking out new things, experimenting with new things, and new things, looking into the future. So we also had this King Henry VIII, who just maybe it was the first divorce and marriage to begin with, but he did it secretly because in those days it wasn't a thing to do. And so tobacco, okay, so I don't know, it's not necessary to mention. Then, of course, the biggie is 1700s, the American Revolution, and then the French helping the US, the French having their own revolution, and the indigenous uprising. So I think that we will see a lot of people uprising, like rising up and riots and saying no. First, hot air balloon, of course, Aquarius rules the airs, and a lot of studies and research and scientific new studies coming out. Smallpox vaccination was coming out, medicaments, and then the guillotine for humane death. Very interesting. And the census to learn to keep a check on population. So definitely technology, yes, bring it on. I worked with blindness and disabled people, so you can do big things. You can do wonderful things with technology and in the body and platines in your brain to make a limb move again. But we have to be ethical with it. And in the past, it was not always the case, as probably most of you know. So as Steve already pointed out, we're doing a little zigzag. Pluto is knocking on the door, but then he goes out and Saturn is cleaning up before Pluto comes back with all his luggage, and then we get the full experience. And so I think the big thing is the corruption in the field of science, and that is a lot of it coming out. We have already reforms in tax and money situation going. As I mentioned further down, the CBDC tracker is already existent, and it's already in some places. Let's see whether I can do this. Can I do this? Open, shouldn't lose the time, precious time on that. So you can see, come on, buddy. Okay, forget about it. You can look it up yourself. You can see that some of the countries on the globe already have it in place. Some are testing it, some have canceled it. So there is the idea of pegging it to the social credit system, as already happens in China. But I think that the people will go against it. I think that people will not give up the freedom, and that they come up with different things, different payment, like money systems. And I think also that cryptocurrency comes back around, but people will not ever give up cash. I don't think you can do it, especially in rural areas where I live in Mexico. And so liberation from like what we are expected of, how we should operate and how we should be in society. And so they plan on these smart cities and 15-minute cities. Don't get me wrong, I think it's a great idea, but I don't like the idea of being controlled and being like punished. Okay, you used too many of your carbon credits, so you cannot go out this weekend. And so everybody is equally important. We are all a drop in the ocean, and we have to keep that in mind. And I think it will just, you cannot hold the lid down anymore. Innovation in aviation, I think we will see. And interesting, I came across the electroculture farming. So that's something that was suppressed also because it worked, and it is for free, and it's magnificent what you can do, like the fertile plants that you can grow and people can eat of it. So Pluto, power, deep transformation, death, rebirth, and intensity. And Aquarius is equality, people, freedom, and technology. We just have to use it in a very ethical way. Then the next one is also Jupiter. I just do quickly. Integrity is important. And I mentioned earlier also marine disasters. So I think we come back to that, even the Jupiter in Taurus as much as the Saturn in Pisces. I think in both cases, we may see some events happening in maritime. So it's about, again, currency, of course. Taurus is value systems and all this. So that is important. Balance and justice. So I think we will see a lot about that. Also extreme weather, bridges and roads renewed or collapsing. I saw a lot of that. So very quickly only. So we had like landing on Mars, which is like land is Taurus, and then Jupiter is like far distance. So that is something like really expressive for Jupiter and Taurus. Then we had, let me just pick out a couple that I think is really important. Dams, and again, so we had a lot of demonstrations in terms of a democracy, like true democracy, not the democracy that we see in like democracy and what's the other guys? Republicans. I think it's a joke. I think they had the Republicans in the past, and I think it's just they use the word. And I don't think that it is a joke that, I mean, all have their agenda, but I think they come from the same background. I think it's about ethics and not ethics. That's the thing. And it's not about left or right or so, even though it's like really, it's right. It raised on a big sign in our faces. But I think that it is in the end not important what is the name of the the party, but who is behind it and what is the intent of it, of the people that running the parties. Okay, so we had prejudice, as I said, we had riots, we had real demonstrations against like lack of democracy. So for democracy, we had the anti-globalization movement already, J18 it's called. So I found that interesting. It's about preventing the corporations to take over. So, okay, so we have more things about money with Fukushima. We had Occupy Wall Street, what Steve mentioned. And I want to go quickly. And so, yeah, I think I mentioned currency, democracy, and extreme weather, reshaping the earth. Opportunities, growth, justice, and the important thing is values. What are our values? And then about resources and land. Next one. So the notes, very quick. So we were in Germany, such it was about the media. What is a lie? What is a fact? Alternative versus the regular. We had Taurus, Scorpio. It's about all the dark stuff, the scorpionic dramas, and what is that word, the corruption, the scandals and sex scandals and all this. And we are Taurus, simplicity. So then now we are Aries, Libra, so we are from passivity off the sofa and do something about it, make a plan. And so it's having courage and developing a pioneer spirit again. So that is, I just leave it in the document, you can all read it up. A lot of things that are like faster, higher, better, like records broken. What's his name? The Virgin guy, Branson. So he had like the fastest surrounding of like the globe surrounding. We had airplanes and a lot of things that were extreme and very brave also. So I think BTK serial killer also. So a lot of about violence, explosions, war, and bravery. So what we may see is then also, okay, so people take action. We feel a certain newness after we realize, okay, what happens now? Our money system globally has not been functioning. It was sucking the people out because we don't need a federal reserve. The Fed lends money to the government, and it's not necessary. The salary does not have to be taxed, and it wasn't in the past. So it's good to tax in and for street repair and infrastructure. So that's good. Okay, so people will be probably also more active about their body. So martial arts and athletes, maybe we see records broken. Maybe we see about athletes in the past. There's a lot of athletes are breaking down on the field. So what's that about? We are looking at people say like, oh, I don't want to live in a smart city because I'm on a surveillance 100%. So I want to go on a community and live on the countryside independently. So they build homesteads, and we have to rebuild. I mean, after everybody feels it, that the money system is about to collapse, and we have to build after. But we will be like spirited. We will be like uplifted because we know now that we can build up something without these oppressive and top-down governments and corporations and all this. So advancements in machineries and all this. So okay, leave the Libran traits, the lazy Libran behind. Do be the courage Aryan warrior for a good purpose, and be aware of course, rash, blunt, and selfish behavior, accidents, and so on and so on. So you have it all in the document, just touching on it. I skipped the eclipses. You have that in the document, but I have, I'm wanting to get to the Mayan perspective. And okay, so the year starts on the 31st of March, and we have 12, the number 12, south direction, and Ebb is the name of the 20 day signs. So we break it down. So we have the Tresena, which is the 13 number cycle, and we have so we have the number 12. So that is the god Lakha, and it stands for good omen, fortunate or spiritual work. And as we've seen in Saturn and Pisces, again, it goes back to that same invitation to do that. And it's about sacrifice. So what are we sacrificing? Habits, bad habits. We sacrifice old money systems, for example, or any system, and build something new. And the past, and maybe we may lose lives. We have a lot of wars going on. crazy things are happening, health situations going on. Okay, so next is directions. Direction south. We start in the Mayan, and a couple of you guys have seen my Mayan presentation. So we start at the west. If you look at the horizon, okay, for the people on Zoom, so you start in the east, of course, and that is let's see. So for them, it's let me get back. So the direction is south. So you have the east, north, and then the west and the south. So south and east are typically easier to handle. And so good business and health can be variable, and leaders' emotions leading to challenge. Ab is tooth or jaw. And that is what we show when we speak, you know, we show our teeth and we move our jaw. And so that receiving useful advice is what the ancient Mayan said. Okay, so that's that. And in the modern days, the advice doesn't have to be like spoken, but it can also be written or I don't know, audio without seeing a mouth. So then good, we had that. I touched on that one. The day sign app is the 12th sign, as we saw on the top. And so tooth, jaw, and grass, and human, and stairway, and road. So all these are kind of representing the sign of Ebb. And that, again, the stairway and road, I was thinking that really matches the Jupiter and Taurus, where we have seen a lot of infrastructure being highlighted. Bridges may be affected, either collapsing or being built. And then excessive rain, we've seen it already. I mean, just last week was just insane, especially in Northern California and the Bay Area. My friend lives there. So, okay, so it's a combo of death and water, the glyph of the god of the the day sign. So, of course, crops can suffer from that and can die, and we may have really bad harvest next year. So so it's about being careful and useful. Receiving useful advice is repeated here. Massive disclosures, I think we will see. And you have seen probably, I mean, how they talk after the guy McCarthy got elected. Okay, I have to just finish because okay, you have it in the document. So the tone is really changing in the House, right? Isn't that interesting? So this is the very important thing. So how Mayan and Chinese connects. So we have 2023, what I circled. So we have the Chinese rabbit year, and then it's overlaid with the 12 signs of the Western zodiac. It coincides with Cancer, and the element water is assigned. And then we have the south element, as we have seen the slide before, and Ebb is the ruler for that. So I thought this is interesting. And the rabbit year we have now coming up in, I think, even next week. And then watch the 18th of August. So let's look. I mean, I'm new to Mayan astrology, haven't done it for years, so I'm curious. Let's see. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, so I have.
Glad this is being recorded.
Yes, I have to have that for you guys as a reminder.
Okay. All right.